Hello everyone. Today I'm here to talk a little bit about self-sabotage and how can I say, like some sort of life that we decide to live that is not, I don't know if you say that in English, but in Brazil we say it's like warm. It's not even cold, it's not hot, it's just warm, it's something in between. Because we do not risk to live the life that we want to live. So it's, how can I say, it's a bit of a development of what Katja was sharing last week about radical honesty. And I know when we talk about radical honesty, we worry about what people will think about what we say, if we're going to hurt people's feelings or, whatever, we name it. There are many thousands of reasons I give myself, for example, not to be honest in every situation. And the thing is, that what we do actually is we go through life trying to avoid some sort of feeling, some sort of discomfort that we have. So I'll give an example. For example, when I have something that I think that I have to tell somebody, or if I have to give some news that are not so, well, I consider them not so good. So or what else, if I have to tell something that I feel that's not really nice of me to tell somebody. Well, anyway, so let's say I have something to tell to somebody that I consider difficult, something difficult to share. What happens is, I don't know about you, but what happens with me is I sort of practice in my mind what I have to tell the person. So, and then I think about ways of how can I say that, or how can I, how can I express that I have in my mind, because I'm trying to avoid some conflict, or I'm trying to, and the thing is, normally what we do, we think ahead of time and we try to predict what would be the person's reaction to whatever we say. So for me, like, I try to imagine when will be the best time to say that something. So, and then when I meet the person, even though I've practiced before, I had like a rehearsal in front of the mirror or whatever, I don't know what to do, but then when I meet the person actually, so let's say I imagine I have this conversation with this person and I'm telling this, and this person is like sort of neutral at that time. And then when I meet the person, she's like super happy about something that she's sharing, or something that she's, she's lived, or I don't know, or maybe she's super angry about something. And then I start thinking, this is not the right moment to say that. And no, it's not the right moment. And then, most of the times, then what happens is I don't say it at that time. And then we spend maybe weeks or maybe days or maybe even hours. And I think, oh, now it doesn't really make sense to say that, because, I missed, or, the timing of saying that. So I tell myself and I convince myself that it's not really the right time to say it. And we don't realize that we do that because we are trying to avoid some sort of discomfort. And we don't believe that we can go through that discomfort. We can transcend that feeling. And so that we spend the whole life trying to avoid this some sort of emotions, some sort of things that I consider uncomfortable. And then what we do is, by not sharing that, we do not realize that we think that people will not like the person that we are if we share our thoughts. And the thing is that actually underneath all that, the thing is that we don't like the person that we are at this very moment. And that's the underlying thought. And the other thing is that we do not realize that we are not that thought. So I can share whatever thoughts I have in my mind, and I can, just let them come out. And that's how can I say, that's how healing comes. Like, just bring all your thoughts to the light, and then you can have a look at them, and then you can realize that's they are not who you are. And that's the real problem, because we think we are our thoughts. So that's why we are so afraid to share them, because if we share them, it's like they are solid and they make up who I am. But that's not the truth. I can think something now, and then in 5 minutes time I will think just, something completely different. So that's why we do not, really want to, how can I say, because we think that's who we are, and that's the problem. That's why we don't want to share that. That's why we don't want to go through this discomfort. And the thing is, we spend the whole life trying to avoid some sort of feelings, and we never go beyond them. And so how can we be happy that way? We spend this whole life trying to keep the temperature like, like warm temperature, like, oh, this is cozy, this is comfortable. So whenever, a fire starts burning, so I try to cool it down. And whenever it gets too cold, then I try, to make it warmer. So I spend my whole life, trying to think about how can I be a pleasant person? So that's what I do my whole life. I try to be something in between, not to the extremes. And the other thing is, for example, sometimes we are like in a gathering of people and we feel like singing, we feel like dancing, or we feel like laughing, or we feel like, maybe it's not only about what I consider bad things, but it's also about other things. Like sometimes we feel like we love somebody so much, and we appreciate somebody for something that he's done or that he is, and instead of sharing that, we don't want to go through that because we're too embarrassed, because we think it's not proper, or it's not the right time. Or we go to a party, instead of dancing and doing whatever we want, we start to judge ourselves and thinking, oh no, I'm a very lousy dancer, or that's not for me, or what people will think about me. And then maybe, we're avoiding this discomfort, like feeling uncomfortable with our feelings in our body, and we don't live up to the full, And so there are three things that are happening in the present moment. So the first thing is whatever is happening outside. So whatever I'm observing, and maybe nothing is actually happening. I could be meditating, in my bedroom, but there are things happening. So I can feel, for example, there is a wind blowing, there are some sounds, maybe some birds, or maybe some cars or whatever, and there is the feeling I have in my body, right? And that's what we're trying to avoid all the time, and we're not in contact with what is happening in our body, because it tells us a lot about what we're thinking. And that's like some sort of equipment that we have that just manifests whatever thought we have in our minds. And there is what I'm thinking about the situation, what I'm interpreting, what I'm, perceiving, what I'm thinking ahead of time. And most of the time, I don't know about you, but we are most of the time like I am in my thoughts and in my interpretations about what the world is all about and things like that. So I'm just making this video as an incentive for us to go past our discomfort. And maybe it's going to be painful the first times, and we're gonna we're gonna perceive it as painful, but we have already a pain. We have something that is hurting already because we don't share what we really want to share. So then if we go past it, we will see that's not who we are, and we can be free people. There are no conditions for us to be loved. And that's what I wanted to share today. Thank you very much for your attention.